Lionel is with us from Happy Tunes. We've been talking about all the great deals down there, and there are plenty to be had down there, and some deals on some used items, and of course they have new items and accessories. And looking forward to the summer, Lionel, let's talk about your summer kayaking trips and what you do, and tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, I know. We were just looking at those shots of the mountain fully covered here. Is summer really coming? This could just go on for a little while. But as we know, yeah, it's never too far away.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I am starting to look forward to summer. Different pace, different lifestyle that we get to enjoy. It's the beauty of having the seasons. I have the good fortune of being able to close shop in the summer. Usually at Happy Tunes, we'll go until about May 15. We're usually done with everything that needs to be done and make the transition. So in the summer, as I have done for now 30 or so years,
wow.
I have the good fortune of putting together some wilderness experiences. They're wilderness trips. And, you know, like some will use either canoeing or hiking to further shape the experience. I do wilderness trips with a focus on either whitewater kayaking or ocean kayaking. And that in itself is an incredible medium to create some very powerful experiences among the troops. The trips tend to go, usually we do a week to 3 weeks at a time. So they're full-on wilderness trips, and that's what they are first and foremost. We just happen to use either whitewater kayaking or ocean kayaking as the additional medium to create the experience. But first and foremost, it's about taking a small group and packing everything that we need and realizing that we don't need much, and then taking to the woods. Yeah. Really, really cool experiences. It's something that I've done for a long time. At one point, I did it very commercially with a full set of guides, a whole team where we had 3-4 different trips going on at the same time, with some international venues as well. We used to do a trip in Northern Ireland, and we did a trip in Thailand, we did a trip in Chile, a lot of different and exotic places. But I have to say, every time that we come back from these exotic places to Maine and do Maine-based trips, we're always like, it was cool, but damn, this is good. This is awesome.
It verifies it, right?
So on a much smaller scale now, I still do these trips, as I mentioned, and we are just Maine base.
Right.
For the whitewater kayaking, we mostly use the Rapid River. The Rapid River is a small stretch of body of water that connects Lower Richardson Lake to Lake Umbagog, the 4th to the 5th lake in the Rangeley Lakes. The sea kayaking, of course, is, the Maine coast is just amazing with the resources that it offers for exploring, island hopping. And then for younger kids, we use a sea kayaks as the model, but in a more controlled environment. And here we're very fortunate to have, the Bigelow Preserve and Flagstaff Lake, where we can do a week-long trip there using sea kayaks, going from island to island, campsite to campsite, building a day hike in there as well, which makes for a great introductory program.
What's the difference, for those that don't know, between a sea kayak and a regular kayak?
Yeah, so there are all kinds of kayaks, right? The sea kayak is going to be the expedition sea kayak. What we use is going to be the longer, usually 16, 17, 18 feet long, very streamlined, that has fore and aft hatches that are waterproof, that you can load up pretty much for a week in a sea kayak. You have to be disciplined and careful about how you're doing it, but you can put a lot of gear in there. The traditional kayak, I think from a more general perspective, is what folks think of as more of a pond kayak. You hop in, it's wider, it's more stable, playful, you take it to the lake and explore a little bit, as well as, horse around with it.
Yeah.
A sea kayak is, again, it's very streamlined, it's long, pretty specific in use, it's very efficient. It's designed essentially to cover long distances and offer as little surface area as possible to the wind. So when comparing sea kayak to a canoe, we think of the canoe, the traditional medium of traveling the Maine woods, as kind of the minivan, load it up, put everything in there and go, which is great. The sea kayak is going to be more of a sedan / sportier type feel. You're lower, you're in, very close to the water, sitting down very low. But when the wind picks up is when it becomes really, really effective.
Well, as you say, you don't need, you're taking a 3-week trip. I was watching a program on Outward Bound, and they were talking about how little they really needed. You only need 2 pair of underwear,
That's it.
because you're going to be in your bathing suit a lot of the
That's
time.
it, and you end up reusing what you have
Yeah.
over and over again. As I like to say when we, pass on our equipment list to folks, if it's not on the list, you don't need it.
Right.
Now, you just don't. And then so somebody goes, well, yeah, but 2 T-shirts? That's not really going to... Well, listen, you're going to wear that T-shirt every day, right? And because you never know what happens in the woods, who might come out, and you might be presentable, you'll take your second T-shirt on that one exceptional day maybe, but otherwise you keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You don't
Save
need
the
it.
Happy Tunes T-shirt for the dress.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of, do you, in this adventure, what is incorporated? Is there fishing or bird watching and all of those things, or does that just happen organically?
Yeah, it happens organically. It's a way of immersing oneself in the natural world, right? I mean, we live basically by the rhythm of the earth. We wake up when the sun comes up, and we go to bed when the stars come out. So along the way, the days are extremely full, and I often catch myself finding that at the end of a trip, I brought my fishing pole and I actually never used it, which is amazing. When you're on a whitewater kayaking trip, it is a fishing river. It's got great fishing. But the days are so full organically that, as it turns out, there's not that much extra time, and when you're out of the kayaks, more often than not, it's just socializing as a group. It's, well, we got to plan meals. We always break into crews so that the trips are completely, I want all the participants, and these are mostly youth trips, to make their own trip. So as we break into groups, it's everybody. There's a crew to prepare meals. There's a crew to filter water. There's a crew to gather wood. There's a crew that actually organizes the itinerary for the next day. The involvement is 100%, and that's the spirit of owning one's experience.
And it's a team effort, of course. You have to work with others, and so there's lessons to be learned there. Is there much portage? Do you have to, or you stay on the water most of the time?
The trips can be fairly physical. So on the younger trip, and I'm going to plug it in here, I think we have 2 openings left on this one. This is known as the Flagstaff Explorer. It caters to youth from 13 to usually around 16 or 17-year-olds. And we use sea kayaks, and we go for the week on Flagstaff Lake, building a day hike of Bigelow in between as well. It makes for some pretty long distances, and if the wind picks up, you're spending the day, a whole day basically paddling, going from point A to point B. That can be fairly strenuous. So usually we ask for good health. More importantly, just good attitude.
Yeah.
A good attitude does it. There's no previous experience required. You don't have to be in particularly good shape, particularly athletic. It helps, but it's not the...
You will be.
You will be by a week later, absolutely. Yeah, it's that's kind of builds stamina, it builds character, and it builds the body for sure.
Well, the 3-week trip that's a long trip.
And that's definitely, it's longer. There's some really interesting dynamics that take place at that time. It makes for some very powerful experiences when you get to delve into a new experience like this. Kayaking, this is a whitewater kayaking trip on this one, is usually new, to the person who's taking on that experience. And we start flat water. We start with the total basics. It's very instruction intensive. When you've overcome all of the hurdles presented at you from learning a new skill, throwing that into the whitewater environment, getting to harder and harder sections as skills arise, it's really daily challenges that one overcomes. And when you overcome it as a group, it makes for some amazing experiences. Yeah.
A feeling of accomplishment and teamwork. And so these expeditions, you said you have some open slots. Are they the 2-week programs or the 3-week, or do you have some of both?
So there is, I'm going to take my notes here, the Flagstaff Explorer trip for younger kids, where we use sea kayaking and a little bit of hiking. This one is July 29th through August 4th. Younger group, and I think there are 2 slots left in there, and I would love to get one more girl on that trip. The whitewater kayaking trip, there's a 2-week whitewater kayaking trip that has at least 1, if not 2 spots left as well. I would love to get another girl in there as well. And that one is earlier in July. It's July 8th through the 23rd. So that's, what, 16 days. It's $19.99. That's all inclusive. Everything is included, the boats, the camping gear. All that one needs really is personal attire, as well as a sleeping pad and a sleeping bag. And even if you didn't have that, I have plenty extras to lend out. And then the 3-week one, that one is a little trickier because that one actually asks for previous experience, where we do multi-rivers and is a little bit more challenging. So as an introductory way, really for openings this summer, it's going to be the Flagstaff Explorer, July 29th through August 4th for younger kids, and then the Whitewater trip on the Rapid River for 14 to 17-year-olds usually is the one that...
The whitewater, what kind of whitewater do you go in? What category of whitewater do you... Is it dependent upon the group that you have, or?
Yeah, it's depending upon skills, where we basically only move as fast as the slowest member of the group, and we all, everybody learns at a different pace. But within that team effort, and that's the focus, the idea is to try to kind of bring everybody along. The beauty to the Rapid River is that it's a drop pool river, so you have sections of pretty intense whitewater that some may be able to partake in quicker than others. But very quickly we regroup into the flat water below it before taking on the next one. So it might mean for some walking around, there's no telling really. And the name of the game isn't for me to say, here's what we're going to do. It's for you, or for the participant, to say, do you think I'm ready for this?
Right.
And I can usually read it pretty well and say, we're good to go. Or, let's hold off a little bit. Yeah.
Now, tell us about the meals. Give us an example of a nice home-cooked meal out on the trail.
Yeah, we eat really well, right? When you live by the rhythm of the earth, food becomes all that much more important, and the time spent preparing meals is that much more important. A good meal that is often one that kids don't think of so much as being their favorite, but is a good stir fry. Yeah. That's kind of interesting, as the added interest and attraction of the fresh veggies, the time spent at cutting, slicing, dicing, sautéing everything, and it's introducing new foods as well, right? So on a stir fry, when you're out in the woods for a while and you're able to manage veggies pretty well, but meat not so much. So tofu becomes an interesting alternative.
Right.
Tofu?
Right.
Yeah, tofu. And grilled tofu is really good when you start mixing. So there's that part of introducing, new meals and new food that's really interesting.
I'm sure that you need hearty meals to keep the energy up.
And it's all about the calorie count. Jen, my wife, reviews all the meal plans. She's a dietitian, so you can bet that she's got us maxed out where we need to be. Yeah.
New recipes, new friends, new experiences. It sounds like I'm sold. And this is something that they can, how do they sign up for this? Go to your Facebook page, or should they just stop by
so it's
Happy
through Happy Tunes, because things need a name. We call it Maine Kayak Expeditions, but it could be really anything. It could have been Happy Tunes. Well, it's called Maine Kayak Expeditions.
Right.
But it is through Happy Tunes, so it's either, best way is to email me, because there is no website for that. It's happy@skihappytunes.com. That's the email that I will get. The phone number at Happy Tunes, 207-235-TUNE. That's 207-235-8863. Or just stop by the shop, of course. And then from there on, usually from one being interested, we'll forward a trip description and some of the philosophies of the trip, and then we go on from there.
So they get some information. If they have any further follow-up questions, they can give you a call. Yeah, it sounds exciting. And you must be anxious for when summer gets here, as you say. It's a more relaxed time for you, isn't it?
We have a lot of work still left at Happy Tunes. A lot of people are tuning skis. They're still skiing, and then all the skis that are going to be there for the tune-in store will come. But certainly by May 15, it's time to switch gears. Yeah. And at that point, I'm all summer. Let's stick to the rivers. Let's stick to the woods.
There you go. And give them a call or stop by Maine Kayak Expeditions. And it sounds like a fun time as we see that footage. It looks like a true life experience that you'll never forget. Well, always a pleasure to see you, Lionel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you much.
And best of luck this summer. And it sounds like a great time. And we'll look forward to you opening up when you open up in the fall? Tell us that.
So the official opening is homecoming weekend. But really, all the boot fitting, September 15. September 15, you're likely, if you ring your phone, you're likely to get an answer.
There you go. And if you need to find out where your skis are, Lionel,
That's right.
He'll let you know where they are. Thanks for being here.